A lesson in love and letting go. In a glittering New York penthouse, Michael Harris, a wealthy CEO, ran his life like a perfectly tuned machine. Every meeting, every deal, every moment was planned. His world was sharp suits, crisp schedules, and absolute control. The only thing that softened his edges was his 6-year-old daughter, Sophie. She was his everything, and when it came to her education, he wanted the best. So, when Sophie needed a new tutor, Michael told his assistant to find someone strict, professional, and disciplined. No room for error. One evening, the elevator to his penthouse dinged. Michael adjusted his tie, expecting a serious, buttoned-up teacher. Instead, a woman stepped out with wavy brown hair, a bright yellow dress, and a smile that lit up the room. "Hi, I'm Lily Parker," she said, her voice warm like summer. "I'm here to tutor Sophie." Michael froze. "There's a mistake," he said, his tone cold. "You're not the tutor I chose." Lily tilted her head, confused but not rattled. "That's weird. I got the job offer this afternoon. Want me to check with your assistant?" Before Michael could answer, Sophie peeked out from behind a door. "Can you read me a story?" she asked, her big eyes fixed on Lily. Michael's jaw tightened. He didn't have time to restart the hiring process. Not with his big work meetings coming up. 1 week, he said sharply. "That's all you get to prove yourself." Lily grinned. 1 week's plenty, as Sophie grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward the living room. Michael felt a strange twinge in his chest. Something about this woman felt dangerous. The next morning, the smell of fresh waffles filled the penthouse. Sophie sat at the kitchen table, laughing as she stacked strawberries into a smiley face. Lily leaned against the counter, sipping coffee like she'd always been there. "Don't forget," Michael said, his voice like ice. "This is just a trial." Lily nodded, unfazed. "Got it, but I'm still here, right?" Her confidence annoyed him. Everything about her, her bright clothes, her easy smile, the way she made Sophie giggle, felt like a challenge to his orderly life. "Follow my schedule," he told her. "No changes." Lily shrugged. "Sure, but a little fun never hurt anyone." Later that day, Michael came home early to grab a forgotten file. He heard laughter from Sophie's study room and stopped. When he opened the door, he couldn't believe his eyes. The neat room was a mess, paper, crayons, and glitter everywhere. A blanket fort stood in the corner, and Lily was on the floor, telling a story about a bear who learned to count by jumping in puddles. Sophie was cutting out paper stars, giggling. "What is this?" Michael's voice was sharp. Lily stood up calmly. "We're learning numbers through stories and crafts." Michael frowned. "This is chaos, not learning." Lily didn't back down. "Sophie's happy and learning. Look." She handed him a paper where Sophie had written 5 in big, wobbly letters. Sophie beamed. "I counted the stars, Daddy." Michael didn't know what to say. He just repeated, 1 week. By Saturday, Sophie was begging to do math outside. Michael couldn't believe it when Lily took her to Central Park. He stood there in his suit, arms crossed, as Lily and Sophie sat on the grass, counting pebbles. 2 pebbles here, Lily said, adding 3 more. "How many now?" Sophie thought hard. 5. Then Lily took away 2. "Now?" Sophie hesitated, then grinned. 3. Michael blinked. Sophie had never understood subtraction so fast. He stepped back, suddenly unsure. Was Lily actually good at this? Or was she just making him question everything? That night, Michael sat in his office, staring at his computer. Numbers and charts glowed on the screen. But his mind was elsewhere. Under a stack of papers, he found a drawing Sophie had made, a man in a suit, a little girl, and a woman with wavy hair, all holding hands. Below it, in Sophie's messy handwriting, was, "My family." Michael's chest tightened. This wasn't just a picture. It was something bigger, something he wasn't ready to face. The next morning, sunlight poured into the penthouse. Michael watched from the hallway as Lily poured Sophie orange juice and braided her hair. Sophie laughed, and the sound hit Michael hard. He hadn't heard her laugh like that in years. Not since her mom left. He turned away, guilt twisting in his stomach. Lily was just a tutor. He told himself. She wasn't family. No matter how much Sophie loved her. No matter how much he kept noticing her smile. That afternoon, Michael called Lily into his office. "I need to be clear," he said, his voice stiff. "You're here to teach, not to play games or act like you belong here." Lily's eyes narrowed, but her voice stayed calm. "You think I'm pretending? Michael, Sophie needs more than lessons. She needs love." His jaw clenched. "I don't pay for love." Lily nodded, like she'd expected that. "No, you pay for control. Maybe that's why Sophie's happier with my messy lessons than your perfect plans." She walked out, leaving her words hanging in the air. The next morning, Michael opened his laptop and started an email to fire Lily. His finger hovered over send, but he couldn't do it. He kept seeing Sophie's drawing, those 3 figures. That word, family. He closed the laptop. He wasn't ready to let her go. That night, everything fell apart. Michael woke to a faint cough from Sophie's room. He ran in and found her curled up, her face red and hot. She was burning with fever, her small hand reaching out. "Miss Lily," she whispered. "I want Miss Lily." Michael's heart raced. He tried cooling her down with a cloth, giving her medicine, but nothing worked. Sophie kept calling for Lily, her voice weak. Michael didn't want to call her. He didn't want to need her. But for Sophie, he swallowed his pride and dialed. Lily arrived in 20 minutes. No questions, no judgment. She knelt by Sophie's bed, pressing a cool cloth to her forehead and humming softly. Sophie's breathing slowed, her hand clutching Lily's. Michael stood in the doorway, watching. Lily wasn't just helping Sophie, she was calming the whole room. Hours later, Sophie was asleep, her fever down. Lily tucked her in and turned off the lamp. "She'll be okay," she whispered. Michael's voice was rough. "Thank you. I didn't know what to do." Lily looked at him. "You don't always have to know." "Michael." He hesitated, then asked, "Why did you come?" Her answer was simple. "Because Sophie needed me." He paused. "And you? Why keep doing this?" Lily's eyes met his. "Maybe I need her, too." The next day, Sophie was better but still weak. Lily stayed, reading her stories and making her laugh. As Michael walked Lily to the door, he cleared his throat. "You don't have to go yet," he said, "not as a tutor, but because we're not done." Lily looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "I'll stay for now." But things weren't simple. A big work event was coming up, a fancy gala where everyone would watch Michael. He couldn't bring Lily, not when he didn't even know what she was to him. When Sophie asked if Lily was coming, Michael froze. His silence said too much. That night, Sophie drew a new picture, just her and Michael. No Lily. The empty space where Lily should have been hit Michael like a punch. He stared at it after Sophie went to bed, realizing what he'd done. 2 days later, Lily was different. She still came to teach, but her smiles were smaller, her laughter quieter. Then one day, she didn't show up. No call, no text. Sophie sat by the window, hugging her teddy bear. "Maybe she forgot," she said, her voice small. Michael knew Lily didn't forget. That night, he found a text from her. "Thank you for letting me teach Sophie. You're a good dad. You just don't see it." It was her goodbye, and he hadn't even noticed. The next morning, Michael didn't go to work. He walked Sophie to school, packed her lunch, and kissed her goodbye. She asked again where Lily was. He promised to find out. By noon, he was outside a little bookstore in Brooklyn, its windows full of flowers and books. He stepped inside and saw Lily behind the counter, shelving books. She looked up and froze. "Why did you leave?" he asked, his voice soft. Lily took a breath. "Because I care too much." "That's not a reason to go," he said. She turned to him. "It is when you're falling for someone who thinks you're just temporary." Michael's throat tightened. She was right. He'd pushed her away because he was scared of needing her. Scared of loving again. "I was wrong," he said, stepping closer. "I thought control kept us safe, but it kept out happiness." He pulled a folded paper from his pocket, Sophie's drawing of the 3 of them. "Sophie made this," he said. "She still believes in us, even when I was too afraid to." Lily stared at the drawing, her eyes shining. "You're late," she said, her voice shaky. "I know," Michael said, "but I'm here now." Lily didn't say yes right away. She looked at him, searching his face. Then she nodded. "Just once. For Sophie," she said, "and maybe for you." Michael smiled. The first real smile he'd felt in years. It wasn't perfect, And it wasn't easy, but it was a start. And for the first time, he wasn't afraid of what came next.